Well, on the road recently in our training conference cycle, I've been speaking about just this concept of where leadership begins and codependency ends, and what does that look like, and getting some good feedback from that. But an interesting topic, kind of going another layer deeper on that is codependency and freedom in codependency possible? You might have heard that narrative that it's impossible to have freedom from codependency. But what is freedom? And does that mean we don't struggle? It's an interesting thought to chew on. And today we're going to unpack what it looks like to have freedom in codependency. Welcome to Celebrate Recovery Official, a podcast that shares life-change stories, courage, hope, and leadership wisdom, all centered around the Celebrate Recovery principles that were birthed out of Matthew chapter 5, where Jesus gives us a roadmap to help us live life on life's terms. So how do we face those events in our life that bring up hurt, that cause hang-ups, that are unhealthy in how we see God, ourselves, and others, and even our circumstances? That takes us into some unhealthy defenses, protections, habits that cause havoc on our relationship with God and others, that can ultimately lead to healing, new healthy truths, and new healthy practices. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus Christ. I struggle with drugs and alcohol and perfectionism. My name is Rodney. I'm the Global Field Director with Celebrate Recovery, and it's good to be here with you. Thanks as always for sharing this, getting the word out. This means a lot, helps us to reach more people. I don't know how that works and why it works that way, but grateful for your help in that. But I wanted to dive in another layer deeper on codependency. I think, and to me, my heart in this is that maybe it can bring some hope, maybe some transformation, maybe even considering the possibility, the real possibility that of freedom from codependency. And so is codependency, is freedom in codependency possible? And I think one of the things that's so important, this is why in my introduction I say struggle. I don't drink and drug anymore, but in my introduction, I say I struggle with drugs and alcohol. I was talking to a pastor yesterday, in fact. He was talking about a guy that had years of recovery from alcohol. He was doing great. He was in ministry. He was thriving, and then he relapsed hard. And it was just a reminder for me when I was here. It was kind of a sad story. He's no longer in ministry, kind of pulled away from God and hoping that he will one day circle back. And this happened years and years ago, so don't try to put pieces together here. But what it reminded me is I was sitting there talking to this pastor, sharing about this other pastor, and it just reminded me that I'm one step away. And so someone hear me say, I struggle with drugs and alcohol and perfectionism. My name is Rodney. You still struggle with drugs and alcohol? No, I don't struggle in the sense of I'm thinking about it, that I'm using on a daily basis. I don't struggle in that sense, but I struggle on life. I struggle with life on life's terms. And I know that if I don't stay connected and dependent on God, I'm going to be in a bad place. I'm one choice away. And so when I say I struggle with drugs and alcohol, it doesn't mean that I've relapsed and I'm in the middle of it. It just means I acknowledge that I need you again today, Lord. And some people kind of don't understand that. Why would you say you struggle? Because we all struggle. And so when I think about this codependency topic, can we have freedom from codependency? What does that look like? The reality for me is, yes, I think we can. And I think it's understanding that struggling doesn't mean you're not walking in freedom. It's we know how to face the struggle now so that we can stay on the road to recovery and living out the freedom that God has done and is doing and will do in the days, weeks, months, and years to come. So in short, I could probably end it right here, but I got some other thoughts. Yes, freedom is possible. Why? Because Jesus sets the captives free. I think here's the thing that I think about. In unhealthy, non-recovery codependency, I am literally a prisoner. I am, in a cell, and the cell has closed, and I am living in captivity. But Jesus sets the captives free. And the only way we can be set free, the only way Jesus sets the captives free is through surrender. Surrendering my need for control. God, I struggle with this. I need your help with this. Help me to walk in healthy dependency, interdependency, instead of codependency. And so, in short, freedom from codependency isn't about needing, let me say that again, isn't about needing no one. And this is where we go from one ditch of codependency all the way to the other. I don't need people. I got this. I got God and myself. I don't need you people. Well, that's not biblical either. Biblical walking with Christ is understanding that we have to be in healthy relationships. We need each other in this walk, this life that God has given us. So I want to walk in a full dependence, and I talk about this on the road with the codependency talk, full dependence on God so that I can be secure in my independence and then be healthy interdependently. So it isn't about not needing anyone. That's how God wired you. We need connection with other people. Love God. The second command, love others. That's not a mistake. There's an order to that. Dependence on God so that I can love others well, interdependently, not codependently. So it's really about depending fully on God while, don't miss this, loving others in a healthy way. In captivity in our codependency, we're walking in an unhealthy way. And so we don't recover. We know this with anything, drugs, alcohol, sex, pornography, whatever it is. We don't recover from our own willpower. It's about surrendering our need for control. It is for freedom that Christ set us free. Remember that. And so my hurt, my struggle doesn't get the final word. So I can walk in freedom knowing Jesus has set the captives free and still struggle, but struggle well. Sometimes we can look in the mental health arena and say, well, I guess I'm not in recovery because I still struggle with anxiety. No. Do you struggle well with anxiety? What are you doing when anxiety shows up that's different from the way you used to deal with anxiety early in your recovery? And so I can struggle. Struggling doesn't mean that I don't have freedom. I can walk in freedom. Freedom doesn't mean the absence of. I struggle with drugs and alcohol. I'm not actively using, but I struggle with that. I know that if I take a drink, I'm done. It'll turn into 12 in a hurry. That addictive personality, right? I have to understand that. So I have not conquered that, but I'm walking in freedom because Jesus has given me the tools to face that. And with codependency, it's the same thing. Jesus sets the captives free. In unhealthy, non-recovery walking, we stay captive. Jesus has set the captives free. Yes, freedom's possible, but it doesn't mean you're not going to struggle. Jesus has a final word on that. We go to him. We go to our healthy community. So freedom for me is not struggling. It just means that I move from pleasing people to pleasing God, serving people, but pleasing God, not letting myself have this fear of man. I think it's Proverbs 29:25. Fear of man brings death, but put our fear in the Lord. Doesn't mean we have trembling, that we're terrified of him. We have a reverence for him. So we're no longer have fear of people. We have fear of God, and it's a reverence. We keep things in the right perspective. So In unhealthy codependency, I need your approval to feel okay. So if I start slipping into that, doesn't mean I don't have freedom. What do I do with that? Ooh, Lord, I'm starting to buy into a mindset today. I have this fear. Why do I have a fear to need the approval of this other person to feel okay? I need your help. Because in freedom, our conversation with God is, Lord, I know you call me your beloved, and that's enough. Help me to take in that truth right now in this space. I don't want to win approval of human beings, as Galatians talks about. I don't want to please people. I know that is not how you want me to walk as a servant of Christ. I want to walk in health. And so if I'm struggling, doesn't mean I don't have freedom, but when I'm faced with challenges, what do I do with that? Now, if I'm constantly in this cycle, yeah, maybe I'm slipping back into captivity, and I need to acknowledge it, but it's the same formula, it's the same recipe, same recovery plan if I've relapsed or lapsed into old ways of thinking, but I can still walk in freedom and struggle. Freedom in codependency specifically, you could say this for anything, it means that we love others without losing ourselves. So again, there may be days where I find myself, I'm losing myself, Lord. I'm trying to love others, and I'm losing myself in that. I know I'm out of balance. Freedom means I acknowledge it. I bring it to God. God, help me today. I need to shift my focus from rescuing this person to understanding, acknowledging, verbalizing, respecting the boundaries, their boundaries and my boundaries. Let my yes be yes. Let my no be no. Lord, I need your help. Everyone, I mentioned this in the conference. I think it's Galatians 6:5. And then at the end of 6, I think. So it starts out with each one should carry their own load. And then at the end it says carry each other's burdens. So one thing I talk about in the conference is carry each other's burdens. Just don't carry all of them, and make sure you're doing it with the right motives. But so am I setting boundaries? So when I feel those boundaries, those walls are coming down, it doesn't mean that I'm back in captivity. No, captivity would mean it's like, woe is me. I'm just going to go numb myself out, and I'm going to stay in this. Someone that's walking in freedom can be faced with struggles. Take it to God. Take it to your healthy relationships. Nip it in the bud. Pray it. Talk it out. Journal it out. Go to a meeting. Let people into that so that you can reset and get back on track. That's freedom. Jesus has set the captives free. You're no longer a captive. When you feel yourself letting down those boundaries, then you can take it right back to God. One more before the break. I think freedom is understanding that I'm not God. So when the struggle comes up, again, can I walk in freedom in codependency? Yes. It doesn't mean I'm not going to struggle, but freedom means I'm not going to play God with the struggle. So when the struggle comes up today, which in my old life, that control that kicks in on when I'm trying to play God, it feels like, honestly, it can feel like love to us, can't it? But it literally suffocates us. And it's exhausting. We're back into that denial. All right, I'm playing God. When I try to play God, it disables my feelings. My energy gets lost. It negates my growth, isolates from others, and alienates from God, and lengthens the pain. I don't want that suffocation and that exhaustion to kick in. So I feel like I'm trying to play God again, Lord. I'm giving it to you. As Psalm 46:10 says, be still and know that I am God. And when we can do that in the struggle, we can continue to walk in freedom. and have that freedom even with codependency. So I'm going to take a super quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation of, is freedom possible with codependency? When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Stick with me. Hey friends, did you know that we have an online meeting every single Wednesday at noon Pacific? People from all over the world. There was somebody from Australia and Kenya recently talking about their struggles. They need another meeting to get them to their next meeting, and they hear a mini-moni, they hear a devotional, and then we break up into gender-specific groups. You can share or just listen. You will walk away encouraged. If you'd like to join us every Wednesday at noon Pacific, go to celebraterecovery.com, find the link, and we hope you'll join us this week. All right, so one thought, just wrapping that up. Be still. I find myself playing God. I'm struggling today. Now, if you can get away every day without playing God, please call me and tell me how you do that. I think it's in our flesh. So you're gonna struggle, man. Acknowledge it. God, I'm trying to take your place here. I need to be still. John 15 and that beautiful passage around, I am the vine, you are the branches. Apart from me, you can do nothing. I need to know I'm trying to do this apart from you. I'm trying to bear fruit apart from you, and I need you. It's almost like my prayer in that struggle as I continue to walk in freedom is, Lord, I need to let you do what only you can do, and trust you. Trust you with the people that you've put in my life. And when I'm getting out of bounds, Lord, so I'm calling it out. I'm struggling today. I need your help, God. That's so, so important. But I think freedom, again, I'm going to keep saying this, as I struggle, I can still have freedom. Freedom means we lean into our healthy community, not lean into our codependency. The old protections, the old defenses that's in that habit part of the cycle, hurts, habits, hang-ups, and habits, is we would lean into the codependency. It becomes a drug. And the greatest thing, in the early days of my recovery, I would want to lean back into my strategy of numbing with drinking or drugging to make myself feel better. And codependency can do the same thing. I want to lean into my healthy community. And so struggling well while I walk in freedom from codependency is leaning into the community and say, hey, I'm out of bounds here. I need to call this out. I need to acknowledge it. I need to invite you into it and ask for you to pray. This is what I'm doing. I'm trying to play God. I feel myself isolating or whatever that is. Because here's what happens. When we lean into codependency, it takes us into a place of isolation, and it feeds that fear. But the beautiful thing about Celebrate Recovery is we have this authentic healing community that gives authentic accountability, and that continues to fuel the freedom that we have been walking in. Two are better than one. We read that passage in the recovery study, right? Confess your sins. Why? You could put a Y in the middle of that, so that you may be healed. James 5:16. You and I are made for connection. So when we feel our body going, ooh, I'm trying to lean into codependency, instead of doing the old moves as someone who's in captivity, we're leaning into the healthy community and saying, hey, help, raising the flag. I need someone to help. I was made for connection. I've got to lean into my community, not lean into the codependency. And really, in this struggling well with codependency, as we walk in freedom from codependency, I'm going to keep saying that just to get hammered in your head as well. But it means I have to slow down. I got to slow down and let God heal those roots. When we have codependency roots that have been deep, have you ever tried to pull a tree out of the ground or even a really strong bush that's been there a while, and it's got some roots that go deep and they go long and wide? When we have a codependency, a tree of codependency that we've been watering our whole life, doesn't mean we're not walking in freedom, because we've got the tools and we're giving it to God. But it means that there's some roots there, which means I've got to continue to work step 11, continue to work principle 7, to make that time with God, to slow down. And God, these roots go deep, and it's revealing itself today. I'm not in captivity anymore. You open the cell, I'm out. But there's some roots there that I've got to kill. And sometimes the process of recovery doesn't happen overnight. It didn't get there overnight. It's not going to happen. It's not going to bring healing overnight. But you can stop and turn around and go, man, I'm not where I used to be. I'm not where I want to be. I'm walking in freedom, but I'm not where I want to be, because there's these roots. It's going to take time to get where, and maybe till Christ returns, we won't experience the full effect of that. But in our old days, we were looking for, maybe I'm alone in this, we were looking for quick fixes. We were looking for Band-Aid approaches. But in this space, as we walk in freedom, while we struggle well, we allow God to do the heart work. He heals the brokenhearted. He binds up our wounds. And so it's in this space. This is why the daily inventory process is so important. Lord, will you search my heart? Lord, know my heart. Is there anything in me that's displeasing? I found myself bleeding over into this space of worrying about what people think of me, and placing my value in how others think of me. And my fear of man is, the hierarchy's out of whack. I want my fear of God to drive your perfect love, drive out that fear, Lord. So let's tackle the roots. And sometimes it takes some time to do that, but it doesn't mean we're not walking in freedom. It just means we're struggling, but we're struggling well. We're no longer in captivity. So healthy change in anything, but since we're talking about codependency, is a process. It's not a quick flip of the switch. That's not how recovery works. So you didn't get here overnight. You're not going to fix it overnight. Trust God with it, and He will walk you through that as He begins to get to the roots of that codependency. I think for me, and again, this can be applicable to anything, freedom, struggling well, and freedom from codependency means I'm releasing the outcomes in life. I can pray for the people around me. I can support them. I can love them. But I need to be mindful that I cannot guarantee results. And I have to give myself that same kindness and grace and compassion and care. Cast my anxieties, as 1 Peter 5 reminds us. I got to cast those anxieties. Lord, there's something coming up for me. I need your help with this. I trust you with all my heart, Proverbs 3, 5, 6. I don't want to lean on my own understanding. Father, would you direct my path? I'm trying to go down this other road and slip into this old track. Think about when and I share this sometimes with couples, in relationships, in our walk, we're driving down a road in a field, and it's been raining hard and it's muddy, and we're riding on the same track. You ever see some fields where you just see the previous driver's tracks, and you just keep driving on those same tracks? We do that in our recovery. And then the sun comes out and dries out those old muddy tracks. And in recovery, what we're trying to do is create new tracks. So sometimes when we try to take a left or a right out of those tracks to form a new track, sometimes we can slip into those old dried out mud tracks. And that can feel like, oh no, I guess I'm in captivity. No, you just slipped into those old mud tracks. Call it out and see if we can keep pursuing this new track. Don't lean on your own understanding. That didn't work. Let's keep trying this new track. So part of that is saying, hey, I slipped into the old mud tracks today, Lord. Or hey, brother or sister in Christ, hey, I slipped into those old mud tracks. I need your help. And we do our part. And the cool thing is we trust God with the results. We trust God with the outcome. We do our part. We trust God with the rest. And that's exactly what He's done in our life. So I can struggle with codependency. Doesn't mean I'm not walking in freedom Freedom doesn't mean the absence of conflict. It doesn't mean the absence of struggle. It means the presence of a Savior in us. It's working for us and fighting for us and with us in the struggle. It's inviting others into that. Do we just accept that freedom isn't possible with this? No, reject that lie. Because every time you water that lie, this I'm never going to have freedom from this, then it gives you license to stay stuck, to keep rejecting healthy relationships instead of inviting in peace and boundaries and your sense of identity in Christ and a dependence on God so that you can be in a secure place independently and walk in loving others well, interdependently versus codependently. And listen, you're going to struggle, but struggle does not mean you're not walking in freedom. And hitting those roots is not going to happen overnight. But freedom and struggling well, it is real, it is attainable, and it's hard. It's messy when you've been doing it for a lifetime in those old dried out mud tracks. It's hard, but I promise you it is more than worth it. So stick with it. Struggle well, but Jesus sets the captives free. You're no longer in captivity, and isn't that a good thing? We can walk in freedom. Not where I used to be, not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. I'm walking in freedom from my codependency today. Lots to take in there, whether it's codependency or other hurts, hangups, habits, addictions, struggles, compulsive behaviors. Same recipe. Take it to Jesus. Take it to healthy community. Don't lean into that. Lean into Him in the healthy community, and you'll be better for it to walk in that freedom. Jesus sets the captives free. Hey, thanks so much for being with me today. I pray that you'll join me next time. Until then, God bless you guys.